My delusional ex said, "Yes, I broke up with you, but you're not allowed to move on until I say so." Then she started following me everywhere, leaving roses at my door, and tried to handcuff me because we belong together. What's up, Reddit? Buckle up. This one's straight out of the crazy ex-girlfriend category. I never thought I'd end up living something you usually read at 3 a.m. on here, but somehow I did. What started as a calm breakup turned into one of the wildest, most unhinged experiences of my life, the kind that makes you rethink every red flag you ignored. I, Nathan, 28 male, always thought breakups came with yelling, tears, maybe a dramatic exit, at least something worth remembering. But not this. Not a quiet dinner where my girlfriend stared at her food like she was practicing a breakup speech in her head. Sophia put her fork down and sighed like she was about to deliver bad news on live TV. "I'm not happy anymore," she said flatly. No build-up, no emotion, just that. I didn't say a word. I took another bite, chewed slowly. Chicken came out good tonight, juicy, perfectly seasoned. She frowned, clearly irritated I wasn't crumbling. "You don't even care, do you? Everything feels so cold lately. You've become boring." I raised a brow. "Boring?" "Yeah," she said, like she'd been dying to say it. "You never do anything spontaneous. You don't surprise me. You don't plan fun dates like other guys do for their girlfriends." Ah, there it was. The other guy's speech. Classic. She leaned back, crossing her arms. "Honestly, when I hang out with my friends, their boyfriends actually try. They take them on weekend trips. They send flowers for no reason. You just exist." I almost laughed. "So, because I don't waste money on overpriced tulips, I'm boring?" "That's not what I mean," she said quickly. But her tone screamed, "Yes, that's exactly what you mean." I put my fork down and looked at her properly for the first time that night. "You've been rehearsing this, haven't you?" She blinked, defensive. "No, Yeah, you did," I cut in, leaning back. "The little list. Cold, boring, not romantic. And you probably practiced this with your friends after one of your deep therapy sessions over mimosas." Her jaw dropped. "Wow. You're so defensive." "Not defensive," I said casually. "Just tired." Her lips parted, clearly not expecting that. That's the thing about Sophia. She wanted power, attention, control. She thought poking me would make me beg. She lived for drama because it made her feel important. She picked up her glass and swirled the water like it was wine. "You've changed, Nathan. You used to make me feel excited. Now it's just routine." "Routine," I repeated. "That's what stable people call comfort. But sure, keep romanticizing chaos." She stared at me, probably hoping for guilt or regret. She got sarcasm instead. And suddenly, a flashback hit me. I remembered her sitting on my couch months ago, scrolling through Instagram, showing me her friend's relationship like it was a commercial. "Look, Emma's boyfriend took her to Cancun. You never plan trips like that." I told her straight then. "I'm not changing who I am to compete with your friends' boyfriends. If you're not happy, you can leave." She'd gone quiet, lips tight, pretending I hurt her feelings. And now here she was, recycling that same moment, only this time, she wanted me to crack first. "So that's it?" she said now. "You're just gonna sit there like nothing's happening?" "Something's happening," I asked. "You're impossible," she snapped. "Do you even care about us?" I looked at her for a few seconds, then said calmly, "Then you can leave." Her eyes widened like she'd heard a foreign language. "What? You said you're not happy. So leave." For a second, she just sat there, staring. That wasn't in her script. She expected begging, not permission. I picked up my plate, stood, and walked to the sink. "Want me to pack you leftovers?" I asked, deadpan. "Nathan, this isn't funny," she said, voice trembling between anger and disbelief. "Never said it was," I replied, rinsing the dishes. She pushed her chair back sharply, like she wanted to storm off, but couldn't decide if that would make her look weak. "You're just gonna let me walk away? After everything?" I shrugged. "You've been halfway gone for months. I'm just saving you the commute." She stood there, silent. I turned off the faucet, dried my hands with a towel, and gave her a small, calm smile. "You're not trapped, Sophia. If you think you'll find a guy who texts you hourly and cries when you threaten to leave, go ahead. Just don't expect me to audition for that role." She didn't know what to say. Her lips parted, but no sound came out. I could almost see her brain buffering. Finally, she muttered, "You'll regret this." "Maybe," I said, grabbing my phone. "But probably not." I walked past her to the hallway, grabbed a pillow and a blanket, and headed for the guest room. She didn't follow. For once, silence actually felt good. Lying on that smaller bed, I stared at the ceiling. No guilt, no sadness, just relief. I wasn't losing her. I was getting my peace back. I reached down, patted the edge of the bed where my cat Nala usually jumped up, and smirked. Guess it's just you and me again, kiddo. Nala hopped up beside me, curled into a ball, and purred like she understood. And as I drifted off, I realized something. I didn't feel empty. I felt done. She'd been gone long before tonight. I just finally stopped pretending she was still here. Honestly, I knew this day would come. I didn't know when, but I always knew it was in the cards. Sophia was the kind of person who treated calm like an insult. If things weren't dramatic, she thought something was wrong. So when she said she was unhappy, I wasn't heartbroken. I just thought, finally. The next morning, I woke up before her. The house felt lighter, quieter. I made coffee, fed Nala, checked a few emails. I was actually in a good mood. That should have been my first warning. By the time I sat down at the table, Sophia came out of the bedroom with the kind of expression you see on people who got caught lying, but are determined to keep talking anyway. You really slept in the guest room, she said, voice sharp. Yeah, I said, sipping my coffee. The bed's smaller, but at least it doesn't come with complaints. Her jaw clenched. Wow, you're unbelievable. Thank you, I said without looking up. That's when it started. The noise. She began slamming cabinet doors like she was competing in an anger Olympics. The fridge opened and shut. Drawers rattled. Plates clinked. The louder it got, the calmer I became. I just sat there, scrolling through my phone, pretending not to notice the chaos. After about 10 minutes of this, she stopped. The silence was almost funny. Then came the performance. Her voice cracked. Did I ever mean anything to you? Do I even matter? I didn't answer. She paced the kitchen like she was waiting for applause. You're just sitting there, drinking coffee like everything's fine. Do you even realize you're losing me? I looked up from my phone. I'm aware. That threw her off again. She blinked, trying to recalibrate. You're so cold, Nathan. It's like you don't even have emotions. Or, I said calmly, maybe I'm just done wasting them. Her lip quivered. I gave you so much. My time, my energy, everything, and this is how you act? I sighed dramatically, then widened my eyes, clutching my chest like I'd just been shot. Oh no, Sophia, what have I done? The woman who spent half her day scrolling TikTok for validation is leaving me? How will I survive? Pleasey, don't leave me. She froze. I fake sniffled, adding, Is this the part where I drop to my knees and beg you not to take the air fryer? Are you mocking me? She shouted. Kind of, I said. But it's impressive how predictable this all is. Her face turned red. She went from fake sad to full fury in about 3 seconds. You know what? You should be grateful. I could have cheated on you 100 times, but I didn't. I stayed loyal even when you were distant. I leaned back in my chair. Wow. Medal-worthy stuff. You didn't cheat. Truly inspiring. She slammed the cabinet so hard that Nala darted out from under the couch. You don't appreciate anything. I could have been with someone who actually knows how to treat a woman. I raised an eyebrow. Then why aren't you? That one hit her. She stuttered for a second, then grabbed a pot and slammed it on the counter. You're not even trying. You're supposed to fight for me. Fight for what? I said. You already quit. She went quiet, nostrils flaring. I swear I could see the moment her brain short-circuited trying to find new material. You're such a jerk, she yelled. Better than being delusional, I replied. She gasped like the word physically hit her. Delusional? Me? Yeah, I said. You're acting like this relationship died 5 minutes ago when it's been on life support for a year. For a second, she didn't move. Then she stomped to the hallway, grabbing whatever she could just to make noise. Drawers, closet doors, even the laundry machine lid. It was like living inside a percussion concert. I followed her with my eyes, but not my body. You're gonna break something that's actually yours, I said dryly. She turned, eyes wide with rage. You don't care about anything. Not true, I said. I care about peace and quiet. And right now, you're making that difficult. That's when she completely lost it. Threw a pillow, screamed something about me being emotionally dead, and stormed toward the bedroom again. The door slammed so hard the wall shook. That night, for the first time in a while, I smiled before falling asleep. The silence wasn't empty. It was freedom. When morning came, I knew it was time for the grand finale. I woke up to the sound of dragging, not the casual kind, the kind that screams, I want you to notice me. Sophia was in the hallway, yanking her suitcase across the floor like she was punishing the tiles. Each pull came with a sigh, each sigh louder than the last. I leaned against the doorframe of the guest room, arms crossed. Need help, or is this part of the performance? She shot me a glare sharp enough to cut steel. I don't need your help. I'm just getting my stuff. Cool, I said. Try not to take the house with you. That's when she started grabbing everything that wasn't nailed down. Tablet, Bluetooth speaker, even my gaming headset. I tilted my head. Pretty sure those are mine. She didn't even look at me. We built this together. I deserve a part of it. I couldn't help it. I laughed. Built it together with my money? She froze mid-reach. You're seriously going to act like I didn't contribute? I'm seriously going to remind you that you once called paying for Netflix a joint investment, I said. Her eyes narrowed. You're cruel, Nathan. And selfish. Yeah, you've said that a few times. Still not seeing the evidence. Her voice rose. You're acting this cold because you already have someone else lined up, don't you? I blinked, pretending to think. Yeah, me. Finally dating someone who doesn't drain my will to live. Her jaw dropped. You're unbelievable. Been hearing that a lot lately. That one landed. Her face twisted with frustration, and she threw the speaker back onto the couch. Fine. You can have your stupid things. You're going to regret this one day. I'll pencil that in after my morning workout, I said dryly. Then came her final move. I should have seen it coming. The emotional blackmail act was running out of fuel. She looked around, eyes darting, until they landed on Nala, who was perched on the windowsill, tail flicking lazily. Sophia's voice softened. Too soft. Then I'm taking Nala. I straightened a little, crossing my arms tighter. Excuse me? She's mine too, she said quickly. I took care of her when you were busy, remember? I stayed still. You mean that one time you forgot to feed her for 2 days while you were editing reels? She ignored that and walked closer, crouching with this fake smile plastered on her face. Come here, Nala. Come to mommy. Nala's ears flattened. She hissed once, a low warning. Sophia tried again, hand outstretched. Come here, baby. Before she could finish, Nala swiped. A quick, perfect strike across Sophia's hand. Sophia shrieked and stumbled back, clutching the scratch. Ow! What the hell, Nathan? I laughed. Couldn't help it. Guess Nala doesn't even like you. You trained her to do that? Yeah, I whispered to her last night. If she touches you, go for the jugular. She glared, eyes watering from both pain and ego. That cat's as cruel as you. Maybe she's just got good judgment, I said. Sophia stood there, breathing heavy, looking at the half-packed suitcase like she didn't know what to do next. Then she snatched it up, dragging it again like she wanted to break every wheel. This isn't over, she shouted, voice shaking. It actually is, I said. You're holding the exit sign. She froze at the door, trembling with frustration. For a second, I thought she'd throw something. But instead, she slammed the door so hard, a picture frame rattled off the wall. Silence followed, the kind that hums in your ears after chaos finally stops. I stood there for a moment, taking in the stillness. The faint buzz of the fridge, the ticking clock, the absence of her voice. Beautiful. I walked to the couch, sat down, and a second later, Nala jumped up onto my lap like she'd been waiting for her cue. She circled twice before curling up, her tiny body warm against me. I stroked her back gently. Good girl, I murmured. She purred louder, tail wrapping around my arm. The air felt different, like the house itself had exhaled. The last time she'd left for a weekend, I'd felt weirdly anxious, checking my phone, wondering when she'd be back. But now, nothing. Just calm. I looked down at Nala, who blinked slowly up at me. Looks like it's just us again, I said softly. She meowed once, short and approving. I smiled. Yeah, I know. She was never your favorite either. And for the first time in a long time, I felt completely at home. Weeks passed. No screaming, no guilt trips, no walking on eggshells. Just me, Nala, and peace. It was incredible how much quieter a house got when it wasn't filled with someone who thought every inconvenience was a personal attack. The first time Sophia texted me after she left, I almost laughed. It popped up out of nowhere. Hey, about the phone bill. Can you cover it this month? It's technically under your name. Technically, yeah. Because she begged me to put it under my plan since she didn't want to deal with paperwork. I replied with one word. No. She double-texted instantly. Seriously? After everything? Yeah, after everything. That was it. She didn't answer again. I guess she expected a fight. Instead, she got a full stop. After that, I went all in on cleaning up my life. The first thing to go was her taste in decor. The house used to look like a daycare threw up. Pink pillows, rainbow throws, plants and colors nature didn't even invent. It was exhausting just to look at. I spent an entire weekend repainting. Grays, blacks, and a touch of walnut. Minimalist, clean, calm, my kind of atmosphere. I replaced the neon wall art that said, "Good vibes only," with a steel clock I welded myself years ago, something she once called a boring piece of metal. Now it looked perfect above the new leather couch. After that, I tackled the garage. Sophia used to call it the junk cave. I turned it into a home gym. Rubber mats, a squat rack, dumbbells, and a punching bag I named after her. Every time I hit it, I felt years of frustration melt off my shoulders. I'd wake up at 6, lift until my arms felt like fire, then shower and start work. No interruptions, no snide comments about how gym guys are all secretly insecure. Midway through that first month of freedom, I started getting notifications again. Messages from Sophia. First one, "Do you still have my blue jacket?" I ignored it. 2 minutes later, deleted. Then another, "I had a dream about you." Gone again before I could even roll my eyes. Then random emojis, a heart, then a sad face, followed by message deleted. She was clearly trying to bait me into responding. I didn't. I wasn't playing fetch anymore. Instead, I spent my time reconnecting with old friends. Mark invited me on a hiking trip one weekend, something I hadn't done in years. Sophia used to say hiking was for people who enjoy pretending they're homeless. The air hit different up there. The mountain silence, the view, the smell of pine, everything felt sharp, alive. For once, I wasn't checking my phone or trying to calm down someone else's meltdown. It was just peace. When I got back, I dusted off my old welding gear. I used to build small metal art pieces, sculptures, lamps, even a custom frame for Nala's little food corner. Sophia used to mock it. She'd say, "You and your weird old man hobby." Now it was mine again. One night, I spent hours in the garage shaping scrap steel into a small sculpture, an abstract figure holding up a heavy weight. When I finished, I looked at it and thought, yeah, that's me now. No one to drain me, no one to impress, just me building things because I wanted to. I remember standing in the middle of my new living room one night, everything clean and organized, Nala asleep on the windowsill, music playing quietly in the background. I looked around and thought, maybe the best decision a man can make is staying single. So when Mark invited me to his backyard party one weekend, I figured, why not? I hadn't been around people much lately, and I was in the kind of mood where everything in my life was finally clicking. I pulled up to the place. I felt good, better than I had in years. Then I saw her. Sophia. She walked in through the side gate like she owned the place, hair done, fake smile plastered on. My stomach didn't twist. My heart didn't race. Nothing. Just curiosity, like seeing a bad sequel after watching the original fail. She scanned the crowd, and the moment our eyes met, I could see it. Shock, then hesitation, then that familiar flicker of ego kicking in. She hadn't expected to see me, and worse, she hadn't expected me to look happy. I kept talking to Mark like nothing happened. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw her hovering near the snack table, pretending to look busy while sneaking glances. Classic move. 10 minutes later, she made her move. "Hey, stranger." I turned slightly, just enough to acknowledge her, not enough to invite her in. "Sophia." She gave me a bright smile. "Wow, you look good. Thanks." I said it flatly. No warmth, no flirtation. She shifted on her heels. "Didn't know you'd be here. Guess we both got invited," I said, taking a sip of my drink. Silence stretched, thick and awkward. She couldn't stand it. She reached out and touched my arm lightly. "I've missed us." I looked down at her hand, then leaned in just enough for only her to hear. "Don't do this, Sophia. We're done." She blinked fast, trying to play it off. "Relax. It's just a joke." I gave a calm half smile. "Then let's keep it that way." I turned away before anyone even noticed. Her face reddened. "You don't have to be so dramatic." I smiled slightly, voice steady but loud enough for everyone around to hear. "You left." I moved on. "Don't make it weird." The music suddenly felt quieter. People went silent. Even Mark paused mid-conversation. Sophia froze, the fake confidence draining from her face. I wasn't trying to make it weird. "Good," I said calmly. "Then we're on the same page." I turned and started walking away. Behind me I could hear whispers, someone muttering, "Wait, isn't that his ex?" Sophia tried to recover, laughing awkwardly, pretending it didn't bother her. But the damage was done. Everyone saw it. Her attempt to act in control backfired. I grabbed another soda, leaned against the fence, and watched the night carry on. Mark came over, eyebrows raised. "That your ex?" "Yeah," I said. "She's still auditioning for relevance." He snorted. "Man, she looked like she wanted to crawl under a table." "She should have brought one," I said. A few minutes later, one of Sophia's friends, Jessica, I think, walked over while Sophia sulked across the yard pretending to text. Jessica gave me a small, almost apologetic smile. Hey, for what it's worth, she didn't know you'd be here. I nodded. Doesn't matter. Jessica hesitated. Her new thing didn't work out, by the way. I raised an eyebrow. New thing? She nodded, lowering her voice. Yeah, some guy she met at her job. It fizzled fast. Guess she's kind of been all over the place since then. Ah, I said with a small smirk. Tragic? Jessica gave a half smile and walked away. I didn't care enough to ask more. About 20 minutes later, I caught Sophia watching me again. She was laughing too loud at something no one said, tossing her hair like she was auditioning for attention. Every move screamed, "Look at me." I didn't. Instead, I said goodbye to Mark, gave him a fist bump, and headed out early. As I walked to my car, I felt this deep, satisfying calm. She wanted to show me she still had power. Instead, she showed everyone how much she'd lost. The drive home was quiet, streetlights flickering over the hood of my car. I parked, stepped inside, kicked off my shoes, and tossed my keys on the counter. Nala greeted me with a soft meow, wrapping around my leg. Yeah, I know, I said with a grin. You'd have hissed at her again. I sat down, opened my phone, and checked notifications out of habit. My latest story, just a photo of my garage gym setup, had a familiar name in the views. Sophia. In fact, she'd viewed every story from that week. The hikes, the projects, the gym progress, even the dumb photo of Nala asleep on my workbench. She was watching it all, and I didn't even need to block her. Watching was punishment enough. She wanted attention. I gave her silence. And silence always hits harder. That's what I told myself for a few weeks after the party. I thought that was the end of it. She'd fade into the background, maybe find a new audience to perform for. But apparently, Sophia didn't like being irrelevant. It started small. One morning at the gym, I saw her reflection in the mirror behind me. She was pretending to scroll on her phone by the water fountain, wearing workout clothes that still had the tag string dangling from them. I stared straight at her reflection until she realized I noticed. She flinched, smiled awkwardly, and said, "Oh, hey, what a coincidence." "Yeah," I said flatly. "Wild." She walked off quickly, pretending to stretch, then left without even touching a dumbbell. I brushed it off. Maybe she was just trying to show she was doing great. But the coincidences kept stacking up. 2 days later, I was in line at my usual cafe. Guess who suddenly remembered she needed coffee too? She popped up behind me, fake cheerful. "Nathan, what are the odds?" "Pretty low," I said, not turning around. She laughed nervously. "Don't be like that." "I'm just here for a latte." "Right," I said, paying for my order. "And last week you were just at the gym for a workout." Her smile faltered. "You think I'm following you?" I finally looked her in the eye. "If the shoe fits, Sophia." She rolled her eyes, muttered something about me being paranoid, and left before her drink was even called. That's when I decided to go dark. No tags, no live posts, no public updates. I didn't need to hand her a map to where I'd be next. By the third coincidence, I stopped pretending it was random. I was grocery shopping late one night, trying to avoid crowds, and as I grabbed a carton of eggs, I heard that familiar voice behind me. "Didn't expect to see you here." I turned slowly. "Yeah, I bet." She smiled too wide, trying to act casual. "Relax, I'm just shopping. People are allowed to exist, you know." "Sure," I said. "Just not in every single place I go." She crossed her arms. "You're being ridiculous." I ignored her and pushed my cart forward. She trailed a few aisles before finally leaving. I didn't look back. The next morning, something new showed up. A small bouquet of roses sitting on my front porch. No note, just wrapped neatly with a red ribbon. I figured it was some delivery mix-up. Threw them away. Next day, chocolates. High-end brand. Again, no note. Then came a folded letter placed neatly under my doormat. No envelope, just my name written on the outside in her handwriting. Inside, no signature, no number, just one line. "I still think about us. I know you miss me too." I stared at it for a solid minute before tossing it straight in the trash. Then I checked my doorbell camera. Guess who? There she was, clear as day, standing at my doorstep at midnight, wearing that fake little smile, placing the roses down like she was in a movie scene. She even fixed her hair before leaving. I watched the footage twice just to be sure I wasn't losing it. Nope, it was her. I saved the clip, just in case. The next week she bumped into me again, this time outside my own house. I was walking to my car when she suddenly appeared from nowhere, pretending to be on a phone call. I walked right past her, but she hung up and followed. "Nathan, wait." I stopped. "You need something?" She gave me that guilty smile again. "Why are you acting so cold?" I just wanted to talk. I sighed. Sophia, you chose to leave. Remember that? So why are you acting creepy now? Her eyes narrowed. Creepy? Are you serious? You think I'm some kind of stalker? Not some kind, I said calmly. You are literally stalking me. You've shown up at the gym, the grocery store, and my house. She gasped dramatically. Your house? What are you even talking about? The roses, the letters. You're on camera, Sophia. For a split second, panic flashed across her face. Then she smirked, recovering. Wow, you really are obsessed with me. Imagining things, checking cameras, creating stories. I took a step closer. You're one bad idea away from a restraining order. Her fake smile dropped. You think you can threaten me? Not a threat, I said. A warning. Knock it off. Or else. Her nostrils flared, hands shaking. You'll regret this, Nathan. You'll regret treating me like garbage. I tilted my head slightly. If you're trying to scare me, it's not working. You already did your worst. I'm still fine. She stared at me for a few seconds, quiet, eyes flickering like she didn't know whether to cry or scream. Then she spun around, stomped to her car, and peeled out of the parking lot like she was in a race. I stood there for a moment, letting the exhaust fumes fade and exhaled. I wasn't angry. I wasn't even surprised. I'd seen delusional behavior before, but this was next level. When I got home, I double-checked the locks and fed Nala. She followed me around the house like she sensed something off. I sat down at my desk, pulled up the doorbell camera again, and watched the clip one more time. There she was, Sophia, placing roses down in the dark, smiling at my door like she was delivering love instead of insanity. I saved the footage again, labeled it clearly, just in case she gets worse. Then I closed my laptop, leaned back, and let out a long sigh. This wasn't just an ex trying to make contact anymore. This was someone who couldn't handle being replaced. I looked over at Nala, curled up on the couch, peaceful and oblivious. You know, I said quietly, I used to think she was just dramatic. Nala yawned. But she's not dramatic, I said, voice low. She's unstable. And for the first time, I realized this wasn't about heartbreak or revenge anymore. It was about safety because I knew Sophia wasn't done yet. I kept my distance, kept my routines quiet. I stopped posting where I was, stopped tagging locations. The gym, the cafe, even the hiking spots, all off-grid now. But still, something in my gut said she was circling. Then, about 3 weeks later, I got a message on Instagram from an account I didn't recognize. The name was familiar though, Maya, one of Sophia's old friends. We'd barely spoken when Sophia and I were together, but she'd always seemed normal. The message read, Hey, I don't know if I should be telling you this, but Sophia's not okay. She's been acting really weird. Like, really weird. I stared at it for a second before replying. Weird how? Maya responded almost instantly. She has pictures of you all over her wall. Old ones. New ones she took off your socials. She keeps talking about fixing things and how you two are meant to be together. I think she's losing it. I rubbed a hand down my face. Fantastic, I muttered. I thanked her for the heads up and told her I'd handle it. The next few days were quiet. I started to think maybe Maya was exaggerating. Maybe Sophia was just venting. Then, one Thursday night around 9, there was a knock on my door. Not the kind of knock you ignore. The kind that sounds too familiar. Nala's ears perked up immediately. She darted behind the couch like she already knew who it was. I stood there for a second, debating whether to answer. Then I opened the door, half expecting it. Sophia stood there, hair messy, eyes puffy, holding a small paper bag in her hands. Hey, she said softly, voice trembling. I came to give you something. I didn't answer. I just stared. She looked nervous, stepping a little closer. It's nothing big. Just something to remember me by. That line alone set off every alarm in my head. What is it? I asked, keeping my tone flat. Just open it, she said, holding out the bag. I didn't take it. You can leave it there. She sighed, pretending to look hurt. Nathan, please. I'm trying to be nice. I didn't move. Finally, she stepped closer, her voice softening. You still don't trust me, do you? Should I? That's when she smiled. Not a sweet one, but something that made the air feel heavy. Fine, she whispered. Yes, I'll make you. Before I could react, she reached into her jacket, pulled something shiny out, and click. I looked down. A metal cuff snapped around my wrist. The other end? Around hers. For a moment, my brain refused to process it. What the hell are you doing? I barked, pulling my arm back, but she held on tight, gripping the chain. Now you can't leave me, she said, smiling like this was some romantic movie scene. Sophia, give me the key, now. She shook her head, eyes wide and glassy. We belong together, Nathan. You just forgot. I took a slow breath, trying not to yank too hard. She had that manic look, the kind that could go from crying to violent in seconds. Sophia, I said firmly. This isn't love. It's obsession. You need help. You said I could leave, she said suddenly, voice cracking. And I did. But I realized you didn't mean it. You wanted me to come back. I stared at her. You really built that storyline in your head, didn't you? She started crying. Real tears this time. But it wasn't remorse. It was panic. Please, Nathan, don't call anyone. I didn't mean it, okay? It was just a mistake. I grabbed her wrist, twisted slightly, and found the small key ring dangling between her fingers. I yanked it free and unlocked the cuffs. The second I was loose, I backed up fast, stepping toward the phone on the counter. Her voice trembled. Please, don't do this. I just wanted to talk. You broke into my life, Sophia. You don't get to talk. She reached out again, eyes desperate. It was just a misunderstanding. I pointed toward the door. Out. Now. When she didn't move, I picked up my phone and dialed. Then I'll let the cops explain it. That's when she lost it. You can't call them! It was a mistake. I love you. You love control, I said coldly. And you're out of it. She started shaking, backing up against the wall, crying harder. Nathan, please! You can't do this to me. Watch me. Within 10 minutes, flashing lights lit up the street. Sophia sat on the porch, sobbing into her hands as the officers talked to her. I explained everything. The stalking, the gifts, the footage, the handcuffs. I handed them the clip from the doorbell camera and the handcuffs still dangling from the chain. They looked at each other, and one nodded. We'll take her in for trespassing and possible false imprisonment, one of the officers said. You can file for a temporary restraining order first thing tomorrow. I nodded. I'll be there. As they led her toward the car, she screamed my name. You have to forgive me. You have to not. I didn't answer. I just stood there in the doorway, arms crossed, watching her finally lose the last bit of control she ever had. The officers shut the door behind her. The cruiser pulled away, and the sound of her screaming faded down the street. Silence returned. Nala came out from behind the couch, tail flicking, cautious at first. She jumped up on the windowsill and stared at the empty street like she was making sure the coast was clear. I walked over, scratched her head, and exhaled slowly. The adrenaline started fading, replaced by relief. Peace wasn't loud. It didn't announce itself with trumpets or fireworks. It just showed up quietly when the noise finally stopped. I stood there, hand resting on Nala's fur, watching the red and blue lights fade in the distance. Peace isn't what you find after losing someone, I said under my breath. It's what you get after you stop letting them ruin you. And for the first time since all of this began, I truly felt it. Real, unshakable peace. The night Sophia got arrested, for the first time in months, I didn't wake up to her messages, her fake coincidences, or that sinking feeling that I was being watched. The next morning, I filed for a temporary restraining order. They'd already seen the footage from that night, and I brought copies along with the letter and the handcuffs as evidence. One of the officers nodded and said, You did the right thing. She needs help. She really did. A few days later, I got the official paperwork. A 100-yard restriction, no contact, no social media interaction. Seeing that stamp on paper felt like closing a chapter for good. I didn't post about it. Didn't brag. I just let it sit quietly in the back of my mind like a locked door I'd never open again. Apparently, she spent a night in holding and was released the next day under supervision. Her parents came to pick her up. Her mom called my number once, on her own, not through Sophia, and left a voicemail saying Sophia was not herself lately and that I shouldn't press charges. I didn't reply. Not my problem anymore. Word spread fast among our old social circle. A couple of mutual friends reached out, some just checking in, some trying to gossip. I ignored most of them. The ones who mattered already knew the truth. The rest? They could believe whatever version she spun. I was done defending myself. The weeks after were quiet. I finally started sleeping through the night again. No more random roses or accidental run-ins. My security system notifications dropped to 0. Funny thing? I didn't feel angry at her anymore. Just done. Completely done. Peace isn't given to you. You earn it the day you stop entertaining people who thrive on chaos. And I earned mine.